created a blank database of all the major wine styles that exist in the world. So wine style is a Bordeaux from Pauillac, and all those wines have a specific weighting in terms of the acidity, the sweetness, the body, the alcohol, the fruitiness, and all these add into whether a wine is good with food or not. Believe it or not, Argentinian Malbec, 15% alcohol, doesn't work very well with food because it's too strong in alcohol, it's too full in body, it's going to overpower most dishes. So with our unique flavours database, we've categorised all the major styles in the world, and then we've paired the perfect wine with the perfect style. Then, because this is a scientific approach, if the perfect wine doesn't exist on the wine list, then it will look to the next nearest option, which could be the next nearest Bordeaux village, or could be a Cabernet Sauvignon from the rest of the world with a similar weighting, or could be a completely different grape variety but with a similar flavour profile, DNA.
Well, the idea behind the app really came from a friend and former business partner of mine. And like me, he likes good food and he likes good wine, but when he goes to a restaurant, he never really knew which wine to choose. And I really associate with that as well, because when you get that wine list in front of you with 50 or 100 or 200 wines, and you're not a wine expert, there's really very little on the wine list to help you to make a good choice. The impetus behind Corkscrew, the idea is to create a sommelier-like experience, but on your smartphone, so that you can choose the perfect wine to go with your food. And the magic of it comes from both the data that we fed into the system, which Matt can talk about more in a second, and the wine list crawler that we created, which is something like a Google for wine list that will go out to all the restaurants. Currently we're doing London, pull down their wine list and feed it into the system, so that when you go into the restaurant, you're actually getting recommendations from the real wine list in the restaurant that you're in.
Of course, food and wine pairing is subjective, but as with anything, professionals generally agree on what works and what doesn't work. And we've created a generic database. Of course, we're not going to have it down to the ninth with the ponzu sauce or the foam. But we've got very particular dishes within the database which are going to work across the board. So it doesn't matter if the goat's cheese is with honey or with pine nuts or with a sage sauce. The fact that it's goat's cheese going with a Sauvignon Blanc is going to give you a pretty good start and always a pretty good pairing.
Just working on this project with Matt, I've been going out to a lot of nice restaurants with him in London and eating a lot of good food and having a lot of good wine. And I've really started to have an appreciation of how important it is to find the right wine to go with the food you're having before I might, maybe recognize that this is a white wine food or this is a red wine food. But it's a really big difference if it's something that goes well with a Chablis or a Riesling or a Sauvignon Blanc. And that's something that I've experienced now, because when I go to a restaurant, I never even look at the wine list when I'm with Matt. I just sit back and have the wine start arriving at the table. And with Corkscrew, it's because it's his assessment of all the different wine styles, you get a very similar experience without having to schlep your own personal sommelier around with you to every restaurant you go to.
And it's also promoting consumption by the glass. Of course, if you're at a table, there's one vegetarian, somebody having fish, somebody having meat, but yet you're ordering one bottle to suit everybody's dishes, which isn't going to work. With the app, which offers a by the glass selection, you're getting the perfect glass to go with each dish, which really is quite revolutionary. Absolutely not. I mean, research has shown us that a sommelier during a standard lunch service might get to 1/3 of his guests, because people like me will, I like speaking to sommeliers because I know about wine, so I'll talk to them, and then they won't get to the guests who maybe need his help more than I do. But secondly, certain guests don't want to speak to a sommelier. They'd rather go it alone, and this gives them the confidence to make their own choices, and we find that empowered consumers are prepared to spend more, which is great for the sommelier's bottom line. Thirdly, the app is a great start, great conversation opener. It gives people the confidence to have an intelligent conversation. They don't want to look like idiots in front of their wife or in front of their business partners, and having a really quite intelligent suggestion from the app gives them a strong starting position, and most sommeliers find that it causes communication rather than, yeah, it's a great conversation starter.